Hello. Hope you are all doing well. Get settled in for y'all. Hey, Allison. Happy St. Patty's Day in advance. Hey, Kaiwan. Sorry if I'm a little quieter today, y'all. I have a sore throat. Not from being sick. I went to 2 back-to-back concerts yesterday, and a lot of like emo slash rock slash new metal music was playing, and I was singing my heart out, so my voice is a little hoarse today. But I'm still good. Hope you guys had a good weekend. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Welcome to the General Hospital After Show. I am your host, Dion Gabriel, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Things like Anna and Jason setting off to rescue Charlotte, Drew now facing Emma's wrath along with the rest of Port Charles, Lucas having himself a new love interest, which shook me, y'all, and a drop-dead gorgeous one at that, and other things as well. So we can get all into it. Angelisa, can you explain Reading Week in Canada for college students? So usually takes place this time of year. It's almost like spring break for college students, but they're just required to like do certain reading projects, which I feel like most of them don't take it too seriously. But it's essentially like a spring break for college is how a lot of people see it. For me at work, it's just a busier week because everyone's here traveling. Gaiwan, yeah, I figured he has a connection with somebody. And I'm sure I've already figured out who it is, just based on a picture in an article. But we'll get into what I'm saving Marco for last. Because we gotta save the best for last, y'all. As much as I want to talk about him first, we gonna save him for last. Oh, man. But yeah, let's just jump into the GH side of things. I don't have much to say beyond for Reading Week beyond that. It's kind of just like it's like PD Day, but for a week. It's essentially just like another spring break, but for college students here in Canada. But yeah, so let's get into GH. First up, let's talk about Drew Kane / Quartermain and his latest dick move. So he tried to move the resting place of many Quartermains, as you know, from the Quartermain crypt, because it's slightly on public land. It's not that he's not within his right to do that legally, but his motives behind it make it a shitty thing to do. I'm assuming Lila was probably the first in the crypt that we know of anyway. So this crypt has been there for at least 20 years at this point. And Drew's trying to move it, and it created hella drama for the Quartermains. And Emma happened to be there to live stream the whole thing, which made Drew look really bad. I don't know like how big her own following is supposed to be, but I kind of loved it regardless, because he really did look like trash in that situation, even convincing the surveyor of the property to have Tracy arrested for barely touching him. Congressman putting the city's tax dollars to good work, as you can see. Nevertheless, even Drew can't deny that his petty revenge stunt made him look bad in front of his constituents, especially when an article in the Invader dropped. So he decides to put his blackmailing to Portia to work. He's funding a new children's wing in the hospital. I think in Oscar's name, his son that passed away. But basically he wants Portia by his side, when he does it, and makes her convince Curtis to cover it through Aurora Media as well. The only person that still thinks he holds the moon at this point is Willow, who's still projecting her own shortcomings onto Sasha. Just the utmost professional nurse in GH, of course. Sasha was there for a checkup, and instead of Willow just being what a good, hospital worker should be, and just, backing out and getting a new nurse for her. Yes, Albert, he's as good a man as Trump, right? Ooh. We love politicians that do shit all for other people. But yeah, Willow should have had the maturity to take herself out of Sasha's room and bring in a non-biased nurse to help Sasha. But here we are. Yeah, Albert, I think you and Kaiwan are the only people convinced that he's a good man. Like, literally, if the entire town of Port Charles, including the mayor, is saying that he's scummy, he's a lazy congressperson that doesn't help his constituents, he's abusing his powers, the writing's on the wall. He's not a good man. And at this point, you're delusional if you think so. But anyway. He's not the only Quartermain that's been bringing drama. We've got, of course, Brooklyn. Well, not that she's bringing the drama, but there's just drama surrounding other Quartermains. So last week, Lulu had told Brooklyn that she knew about her and Dante's child. This week, they really got into it, going back and forth on what the right thing to do in the situation is, who should come first in the situation. The child who may or may not know that they're adopted, or Dante, just knowing that he had his child out there. They dished out insults back and forth. Brooklyn throwing a Lulu, abandoning Rocco to look for Charlotte in Lulu's face, of course, because Dante would do the same to find his son. And Brooklyn betraying Dante's trust when he sees her as a good and cherished friend in Brooklyn's face. Of course, Lulu's abortion came up as well. I have to say, Amanda Sutton, really impressed me with her performance on the show, and Lulu could see how emotional, how emotionally affected Brooklyn was in that situation. And she eventually sees where Brooklyn is coming from, and ultimately, she decides to keep Brooklyn having a baby with Dante a secret. Lulu does point out, though, that she knows for a fact that Lois talked to Martin about this, and that Lois clearly knew that she had a son, so that it might be something that Brooklyn needs to talk to Lois about. But yeah, so, it's something that Brooklyn didn't even know. So Brooklyn ends up confronting Lois, and then her grandmother, Gloria, shows up. I love seeing Gloria. It's just like a throwback to the 90s for me. But yeah, so Gloria had walked in on the conversation between Lois and Brooklyn, and she reveals that she knew Brooklyn had a baby. Lois admitted that at the time she needed someone to confide in because this was a new situation for her as well. And Gloria also told her that, she didn't tell anybody else. So Gloria kept that secret just like Lois did. So, props to her. Gloria also mentioned that she knew the family that adopted her child but hadn't spoken to them ever since, and suggested she just let it go. Once Brooklyn leaves the room to process this conversation, Lois tells Gloria that she thinks that she needs to tell Brooklyn and Gio the truth, but Gloria advises against it because it would ruin Gio, Brooklyn, and Dante's lives. Meanwhile, Gio is just kind of living his life. He was a witness to the drama between Drew and Tracy earlier, watching Emma on proudly. Gio wanted to keep watch outside the crypt at night in case Drew tried anything, and Emma kept him company for a while, getting to know each other. I actually really like their budding friendship and what will likely be eventually a relationship between them. And then after Emma left, Brooklyn went out there and kept him company, still trying to process what happened. She did vent to Gio, but obviously kept things pretty brief. Obviously she's keeping things close to the vest like she always does, especially with this secret. But yeah, Brooklyn was still mad, and it just reiterated to Gloria and Lois the next day that it's a secret that needs to stay a secret because of how Brooklyn's still mad about the fact that she just kept it a secret that she knew about her having a baby. But yeah, we know how secrets go in Port Charles. We know it's not going to be a secret for very long. So we'll circle back to this conversation in May. May sweeps, probably. Which isn't that far away. That's like 2 months. I mean, I don't know for sure that it's going to be revealed then, but I feel like they can only keep this secret for so long. The more people that know about it. But yeah. Let's change the subject, though. Let's move on to things involving Charlotte. So, last week... Oh, sorry, I'm not even reading the comments, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just focused. I'm like, my voice is hoarse, and I'm just trying to talk my way through it. Lulu is an asshole. I don't understand why I can't tell her about that. I mean, yeah, Lulu was taking things too far, because it really wasn't her secret to tell. I do agree with that. But, you know, to that end, she did agree to keep it a secret. You know, it took a lot of convincing. It took way more convincing than it should have, honestly. But she did cave. You know, they were throwing each other's shortcomings in their faces the entire time. You know, Lulu, you know, was bringing up Brooklyn and Dante's past, what she did with Carly. And, you know, of course, Brooklyn threw the abortion in her face. And, you know, it was what it was. And also, Brooklyn threw into Lulu's face about how Rocco felt abandoned by her for going after Charlotte. But, you know, it's just how they converse, those two at this point. But they did find common ground, and so respectfully, they worked it out. And I think Lulu did eventually see where Brooklyn was coming from, that she made her best choice as she could as a mother, that it's not just Dante's feelings to consider here, it's this child. They don't know if the child even knows that he's adopted or not. They don't know anything about his life, or, you know, Brooklyn doesn't. So it's to protect the child. If she says if the child comes to her, then by all means she'll tell her the truth and tell the child who his father is. But, you know, we know that Gio doesn't know. We know that Brooklyn doesn't know. The only people that know are Gloria and Lois. So, and Martin, I guess, the lawyer. And Lulu. Okay, but moving on. So, last week, Anna and Jason found out that Charlotte and Valentine were in Buenos Aires and set off to track them down. This week started with them in a race against the WSB to get to Valentine before they kill him and Charlotte. Now, I called this last week, but before all hell broke loose, Valentine confessed to Charlotte that he texted Rocco pretending to be her, which is what I figured, because I was like, Charlotte's not going to make that same mistake twice. She knows that Lulu would come after her if she got another text from Charlotte. So, you know, I figured that it was Valentine and that things were getting too dangerous for him to keep her there. He finally put Charlotte first. Now, Valentine managed to run off and escape while Anna and Jason brought Charlotte to safety. Charlotte was not happy with Anna, and Jason had to be the one to cool Charlotte down. By the next day, they were already back on their way to Port Charles with Charlotte in tow, and Anna makes a call to Jack Brennan to make sure Lulu will be at the airport to get her daughter. They have an emotional reunion on the tarmac before she brings her to her mom's house, and eventually Charlotte reunites with Laura and Rocco too. I'm glad Lulu has her daughter back, so maybe Lulu can start being a better mom to both her kids. And Angel, you asked, does anyone really care? I mean, I'm just glad it's over. I'm just glad it's over, Angel. I mean, listen, I get, like, it's supposed to be an emotional story. Y'all know I'm not, like, a fan of Charlotte. Here's my thing. My only real issue with the story is that the writing for Charlotte is really bad. Like, they still make her sound like a child. Like, this girl is in high school. And she's still there calling her dad Papa. And like, you know, it's like she's acting like she's a 6 years old instead of like a high school kid. I also feel like it's parts writing and parts acting. I'm sorry if this comes across as mean. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. She doesn't feel like a real teenager. She feels like a tall kid that was forced to do acting because her parents wanted her to do it, not because she's really good at it. It feels very like child star and like a kid's show kind of level of acting, and like they just need a better Charlotte. I hate to say it. It's just, you know, it worked okay for like, you know, little Charlotte, but the acting hasn't grown in any way. She's not like good with like what should be more emotionally angry stuff. I don't know. It just feels like she's kind of reading a script. And so it takes me out of how emotional this should be. You know what I mean? Allison says Lulu can stop whining now. Exactly. Angel, you said emotional was Anna and Robin child reuniting. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It didn't ring. Like, it should have been emotional and it just wasn't. But you know, I know my bias towards the character, so I can't speak for like if I'm coming from a place of like someone that has, what's the word? Just someone that's not unbiased, you know? Like, I can't look at this from like an outside point of view. Like, this should be emotional, and it wasn't for me. And I feel like there's probably a lot of people that feel the same way. You know, it's interesting because we do have a new Lulu, and I think she's doing a great job, by the way. And she's going toe to toe with like amazing actors on the show like Jeannie and Jane. So she's been doing a great job. And I've always said this as long as I've been a fan of the show, that the Spencer family has always been like full of like the most incredible actors on daytime. Between Jeannie Francis, Tony Geary, Julie Berman, Jonathan Jackson, like there is a lot there. And so I feel like because of, you know, the OGs, so to speak, like I have a lot of expectations when it comes to the Spencer family. And so when I look at like the children of Lulu and Lucky, I want them to be as good as Julie and Jonathan were when they were kids, you know? So like I've got high expectations for the Spencer family, and it just feels like I'm a little let down with Charlotte a little bit, just because she doesn't seem like she's worthy of being in that sort of space. Angel, you said, honestly, what teenager that is French speaking still calls their dad Papa? Isn't it just Mon Pierre? Pere? Listen, like, I don't know. The relationship between Valentine and Charlotte and the whole French shtick that has been around for like since the beginning of their relationship, it is so ridiculous because like James Patrick Stewart is not that great at speaking French, okay? Like, so it just rings false. And then like clearly the actress that plays Charlotte doesn't speak a lick of it. So it's like it just feels like a bit that should have ended a long time ago. And that the only reason why it hasn't is because there's probably not too many French-speaking people that work on the show that can't be like, you need to stop this. Realistically, man. But yeah, before we move on to the next subject fully, we got to touch base on Carly and Jack. They had a bit of a rough go last week. Carly saw one of Jack's previous flings being flirtatious with him, and she used that to put a kibosh on their relationship. But later in the week, while Maxie, Lulu, and Carly were at the Metrocourt before Lulu got taken to the airport, Carly couldn't take her eyes off Jack while he was sitting in a meeting with Jordan at the restaurant, wondering if it was a date or not. Maxie advised her to get out of her own way and stop overthinking things when it comes to Jack. And Carly listened. So once Jack had come back from reuniting the mother and daughter duo, Carly showed up at his Metrocourt suite to make love to him. Man, love scenes just aren't what they used to be on the show, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Carly and Jack, but like, I feel like love scenes for a long time were pretty consistent in how they were done, and they were always done tastefully, whether I liked the couple or not. But they used to be done with a lot more care than love scenes are these days, in terms of editing, choices in music, taking their time with it. Now, every time like the camera transitions in like a love scene, they always use that stupid reverse cymbal sound effect, and it gets on my nerves. Like, it really does. Just let the song play through. We don't need a sound every time the camera changes. Just like let the song play, and let the camera scene, like, let the camera transitions blur, and just leave it at that. So I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. Now, I don't know. That's just my thoughts, though. But yeah, anyway, afterwards, we see just outside of Jack's room that Valentine is there, so he is back in town and ready to finish what he started, killing Jack. Will he manage to do it? Time will tell. Maybe we'll find out tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, Valentine is back and causing more trouble. I just, right now it just feels a little bit redundant to keep Valentine going, like, because I don't, like, I'm getting the sense, and I've not really been paying attention to what James is doing outside of GH, but he seems too busy to commit nowadays, which is why I'm guessing they're keeping him away for so long. So like, they just need to wrap the story and just have him be arrested and go to jail or something, get killed, whatever. But like, it just needs to stop, and we need to wrap it up. All right, moving on though. So we got a guest star this week, y'all. ABC's current Golden Bachelor from the reality TV show, The Golden Bachelor. He shared some scenes with Nina and Ava, and the only thing I really have to say about it is that he shouldn't quit his day job. So, guy is clearly not an actor, and it was so cringe, but most of these type of like ABC guest spots are, whether it's on this show or any other show where like a reality TV personality from ABC jumps into another show for the channel. But yeah, it was cringe. It was cringe. But we did get some great scenes between Nina and Ava, either before or after that. But Ava asked Nina for a loan. Nina was relieved because she finally asked her because she wanted to help. But Ava's too proud to beg. But she was grateful that Nina was willing to, no questions asked, and with no like sort of stop date on how Ava will eventually pay her back. I just have to wonder, like, how bad is the gallery doing? Because she doesn't seem to have an ounce of her own money from like the way that they make it sound. It's a bit crazy. Like, she was a successful gallery person who was pretty wealthy to begin with. And like the Cassadine money, like, yeah, that's just like wealth beyond anyone's wildest dreams. But like, Ava was pretty stinking rich. Like, she always had nice places long before she married a Cassadine. Like, I don't know. It just seems a bit silly. Alright. Speaking of Ava, though, she did do some pretty shady things this week. Or just one shady thing in particular. Christina had planned on bringing Avery to this once-in-a-lifetime, like, Broadway experience or something. And Ava essentially snatched it from her to take her to the same thing, except with, like, a front-row VIP experience, since Ava's connected like that. It was pretty low, but I don't think I have a side on this necessarily. I'm not, like, Team Christina or Team Ava. Like, they're both kind of shitty. So, like, there's no real winner here. The loser is Avery. Like, she really should just wait till she's older and go on her own. This poor girl is surrounded by the most toxic-ass people in town. Like, between her dad, her mom, her siblings. Like, they're all, like, varying degrees of toxic or just involved with toxic situations. So, yeah. No winners there, y'all. But, yeah. I think in the end, this is only going to give Christina more motivation to do something drastic down the line to Ava. Paying 2 galleries under this administration in upstate New York must be a lot. Oh, no doubt. But yeah, so Christina does have something else to focus on, though, besides Ava. She and Rocco had walked in on Sonny getting a checkup from Dr. Isaiah at his new place, aka Valentine's old place. And Christina knew it wasn't for nothing, and she tried to get it out of Dr. Isaiah. And when she couldn't, she basically dragged it out of Sonny instead. She figured out that's why he's backed out of the custody battle, because he's trying to avoid stress, because he has a bad heart. He's handling it. Obviously, he's been waiting a couple of months before he has the procedure done, but, you know, he's just saying, I'm being careful. I'm taking care of myself. Don't worry about it. This is why I didn't want to tell you. It's being taken care of. But yeah, we'll see what Christina does with this new information. Probably nothing good, I bet, because Christina is Christina, and she always seems to ruin things, but we'll see. Ainsley said if anything, Ava was probably living beyond her means. Maybe. You could be right. But yeah, switching subjects, we got some Lucky and Elizabeth fluff this week as well. These poor rekindled lovers are just trying to get some alone time to kiss and possibly make love, but Liz's house was just a continuous revolving door for like an entire episode, maybe 2 episodes. Aiden showed up, Laura showed up, Rick showed up every time that they were trying to get romantic. And by the time that they stopped having visitors, Lucky passed out. So, you know, hopefully when Liz and Lucky do make love eventually, they'll be edited better than Carly and Jack's love scene. Maybe. We'll see. Trina, it was her birthday this week. There was a surprise party at the gallery. Ava, Portia, Curtis, Stella, Kai, Gio, Emma, and even Laura was there. Jocelyn's obviously still out of town training, but instructed Gio to give her a gift from her. Emma's gift unintentionally sent Trina into a frenzy because it happened to be the same book Spencer got her one year. And y'all, I can't even remember if that actually happened on screen. I can't remember. Maybe it did. But yeah, needless to say, when Trina seen that book, she went home to be in her feels about it. I was kind of hoping for flashbacks, but I get why we didn't get them. So that is what it is. But man, I get where Trina's headspace is at. Hey, Nathan. I do get where Trina's headspace is at, because, you know, life can be going good, and it really is for Trina. You know, she's opening herself up to finding love again. She's thriving in her art career, and she's in school and having fun. But she's, you know, she got a reminder of Spencer, and it just took her back to a really vulnerable place for a moment. And sometimes you just need to feel it, you know. Things like that can happen unexpectedly when you're grieving. Even though you feel like you've sort of moved on from like the worst of it, it just takes one little thing to bring it back. And that is such a realistic thing, and I'm glad that they did that to show, like, yeah, even though Trina's moving on, like, the hurt is still there, and all it could take is just like a small reminder. But yeah, I don't know. I just love that they showed that and appreciated that. As someone who has grieved before, and, you know, I've had things sneak up on me in the same way, it felt like really relatable. Now, gotta take a bit of water because, well, aside from the sore throat, I am thirsty for this next topic. If y'all see my post from the other day. Let's talk about Marco. Man, okay, so let me set the scene. Lucas was drowning his sorrows at that bar in Miami. He's still in Miami. When he was getting ready to leave, he noticed a credit card on the floor and picked it up. And then a ridiculously good-looking gentleman seen him pick it up and thanked him for doing so and offered to buy him a drink. Maybe that's a red flag, because Lucas was already notably drunk. But man, I wouldn't say no to a stranger buying buying me a free drink that looked like that attractive either. So I'd be like, no, just tough it out. Who knows what's gonna happen here? But Angel, you said that dick slinging contest between Rick and Lucky was hilarious. Yeah, I think, you know, in the end, like, I think Rick just finds Lucky amusing, but that he sees that he's making Liz happy, and I think that he's willing to let that go, but he's not gonna get a quick jab at Lucky when he can. Besides, like, Rick is dating someone too. He's just doing it in secret. All right, so yeah. Just going back on Lucas and Marco, my first thought watching these scenes, as someone who didn't see this coming, again, you guys know I don't read spoilers, so like I didn't even know that Lucas was gonna get a new love interest anytime soon. I thought he was just gonna be stuck in Brad hell forever. But so my initial thought, watching these scenes was, man, Lucas is about to confide in this straight man who's just being nice and offering a thank you drink, and he's gonna try to make a move, and it's gonna be awkward when he shuts it down. That didn't happen. But the awkward part, there was still an awkward part. The awkward part was Lucas word vomiting his entire relationship with Brad, with this guy. But Marco was sympathetic and gave him some advice, and he didn't see Brad as this total bad guy. He could see that Brad was doing certain things out of love and that he's not all bad. Almost like he was encouraging Lucas to give Brad a try again. But he also understood that where Lucas was coming from and wanting to move on and can't have that sort of lingering over them. And so, you know, Lucas knew that he needs to move on and maybe like get back in the scene and not try to look for anything too serious yet. Just have fun. And Lucas took a chance and kissed Marco, which obviously Marco returned. And Marco thought he should give, that Lucas should give him his room key so that he could meet him there later. I'm assuming that they probably did that. It happened off screen, which honestly, given the editing skills of the current GH video editors, I'm okay with, you know, an off-screen love scene that would likely have like reverse cymbal sound effects and just like quick choppy 30-second clips. But damn, I ain't gonna lie, I have such a crush on this guy already, this actor. I was so happy when I found out that he's already actually been put on contract, and it seems to be a long-term one according to the actor, because he's saying he's going to enjoy these next few years on GH. And man, his Instagram, y'all, if you guys seen the pictures I posted, this man's Instagram is full of like super homoerotic thirst traps of himself. You know, whether it's just like photo shoots where he's literally naked, showing his butt, showing some things, and also just like, showing him at these like huge sort of gay pride parties and stuff. Like his Instagram, I was living, y'all. Now, all that aside, I have theories on who this guy is because there was one article that had a picture of him seemingly standing outside of Windermere in Port Charles. So my guess is that he's Sidwell's son. Possibly Sidwell's son with Natalia. I don't know if that necessarily means it's the brother that Blaze had spoken about in the past. Or if this was a secret son that Blaze might not even know about. I don't know. And if that is the case, I'm curious to know if Natalia, A, knows that she has a gay son. I'm sure she knows that she has a son. But yeah, like, and I feel like if she did know, and this is the brother that Blaze has spoken about, something that they alluded to back then was that Brad also kind of wanted a career in music, but Natalia didn't invest in his career. And it makes me wonder if he was already out to her, if this is her son that Blaze does know about. Maybe she didn't invest in him because she knew he was gay, the same way that she tried to like sort of sweep Blaze's sexuality under the rug when she found out that Blaze was gay. I don't know. Mystic Mars, you said you're shipping Marco and Brad. I don't want Marco and Brad. No. Listen, I actually do like Brad as a character, but like we need to let Lucas be happy here. And I mean, I don't know. Who's to say that he will be happy? it's interesting because Sidwell seemed to take a liking to Lucas when he met him a little bit, which is another kind of hint that this guy is likely Sidwell's son. But yeah, I don't know. I prefer Lucas with Marco, and it feels more authentic because the actor that plays Brad isn't gay. The actor that plays Lucas is. The actor that plays Marco is. You know, it's just kind of keeping to the authenticity and keeping it into someone that kind of knows what it's like to be a gay man instead of just playing one. But also it comes down to like these are characters that are probably very different from who they are in real life. Angel said, like, is Natasha upset that both of her kids are LGBT? Maybe, I feel like maybe she was. Maybe that's why she was so hard on Blaze. Because she didn't want more than one. She probably didn't even want one, realistically. But maybe it's why she was so... She seemed to double down on, like, really sabotaging Blaze from exploring a relationship with a woman. But yeah, so that's my theory. I'm intrigued. I think, like, I'm really gonna enjoy this character. Aside from me being thirsty for him, I think Marco isn't gonna be a good guy. I think he's definitely got bad boy vibes, and it's not too often that we get like. I mean, at least not on this show. All the sort of gay men, aside from Brad, who's been like. You know, he's like bad in the sense that it's like slimy bad, but like he is not like, I wouldn't call Brad a bad boy, but he's just like a guy who just makes poor choices. whereas like Marco seems like the dangerous bad boy type, you know, and like in an intriguing hot way. So I don't know. We'll see. If he is really Sidwell's son, he's bound to be bad. I just hope that they don't make him like this one-dimensional bad guy like his father is. I hope that there's nuances to his character, and I hope that they really take time to invest on his personality. Like that they flesh out the character and like really let us know who he is before they kind of take things to an extreme level like they tend to do with the bad guys. Like, GH has always had a habit when it comes to their villains to just make them do the worst thing and then just keep them around with really flimsy excuses and, like, story, like, plot points that just make everyone else look stupid. And I don't want that to be the case with a character like Marco. Because, you know, Lucas needs to find love. And yeah, Brad's obviously going to take issue with it when he finds out that Lucas has met a new man. But, and there's going to be some conflict there. But needless to say, I am intrigued and I am in love with this man already. Just because of his Instagram. I ain't even gonna try to hide it, y'all. I haven't had a crush on a GH character in years. And let's face it, we gays have not been fed. And now we are. ETM, you said I'm on the fence. It's a we'll see for me. Yeah, I mean, we can't really base anything off of, like, this. It's been one episode. We don't know who he is. I just know that he's hot. But yeah. The stereotype of a gay man. Marco is the real-life idea of a gay. I mean, no, like, listen, like, all we know about Marco is that he seems to be a very successful businessman of some type. And we know who the actor is. And you know, he seems to have that sort of like, he's like a bartender in real life. This is what I've not like, you know, completely stalked and scrolled through the entirety of his Instagram, but based on what I can tell, he's definitely a big part of the sort of the gay scene in terms of like the nightlife. He's bartended, he's go-go danced. He seems to go to these big parties during Pride months and has like a big group of gay friends and does his thing and unapologetically as well. So, you know? You know, he's young and having fun. and it's a refreshing thing to see. You know, actors, they typically keep their lives under wraps for the most part. You know, they obviously show off some things, but it's like kind of wholesome stuff. The actor that plays Marco seems, you know, like he is authentically himself, and he's not going to hide it. We'll see. We'll see. Alison said another podcaster said Marco had a business card with Sidwell's initials on it. I didn't look hard enough at the card to really notice that. But I'm glad someone else did. ETM says, I agree, he's smoking on fire, but I'm glad if this is a flame. Hopefully it goes strong and not burned out right away. Yeah, I hope they flesh out a relationship for Lucas. Obviously, Marco's going to be trouble for sure, but who knows? Maybe it'll make Brad look like a saint in comparison. Time will tell. But we're also saying this in the sense that we don't really know what Marco's relationship to Sidwell, if he even has one, will be. You know, I'm just guessing that Marco and Sidwell are father. Angel said, if you are gay and you don't like the party life, would you miss a lot of gay culture? Not necessarily. I mean, like, for me, I'm not a big part of the gay scene. Certainly not in Edmonton. The only time I really, like, sort of partake is when I go back to Montreal, because, you know, there's a whole gay village there. And, you know, they go all out for their parties, and so they're fun to attend. And I have, like, a lot of gay friends there, whereas here in town here, I really don't. You know, most of my friends here are straight and musicians, and so that's kind of my life here. Hanging out with musicians, and, you know, it's really hanging out at dive bars, watching other bands, supporting our friends, and that's kind of essentially my life. I'm not super big on, like, RuPaul's Drag Race and like all these sort of, like, cultural TV shows, and it's mainly because I am not really a big TV watcher. Like, you guys know this. I really watched GH and 911, and I don't know, off topic here, but 911 was crazy this week. If anyone watches, that was insane. And if you guys do watch and haven't watched, I won't spoil for you, but damn, I was in shock watching what happened. Soap operas don't give them that gay 2010s idea, give them more real person. I don't know, it's hard to say. I do appreciate that, like, when it comes to GH's LGBTQ characters, they don't make that like their whole sort of lives. Like, every gay man that we've seen here seems to have some kind of solid career, and that's the focus of them. It's just like being gay just happens to be a part of them, and that's, I think that in many ways it's like a good approach, but also, like, it's good to have a variety as well, you know, because just like straight people, there's gay people in all kinds of, like, sort of different lives. ETM, you love 911? Or do you love Yellow Jackets? I've never even heard of Yellow Jackets. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, everyone's different. You know, there's all kinds of people, and they all have their hobbies and what they do in their spare time and what their focus is on. Like I said, I'm a musician, and I do filming, and so there's not a whole lot of time for me to partake in sort of the gay culture, and I don't watch too much TV. So I've watched RuPaul in the past, and like Canada's Drag Race as well in the past, but I've not been super invested in those kind of shows. But yeah, I don't know. We like a variety is what I'm saying. You know, we don't want every straight person to be the same way either on TV shows. We want characters to have all sort of different personalities. If you're having the same character 3 times, Brad and Lucas are already hospital workers. 911. Yeah, I love 911. That is like my other big TV show that is the one other TV show that I follow religiously. American Horror Story is kind of like the runner-up, but it feels like they're just not that on that often anymore. So I don't know. And there's certain seasons where I've just not enjoyed them. 911, there isn't a single season, and I've been watching from day one. There's not a single season that I haven't enjoyed. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Angel. Yeah. And someone mentioned this the other day to me. Yeah, Kelly Monaco announced that she is coming out with a podcast. And she's kind of alluded to revealing Hollywood secrets and big stories that, were secret before. And Lord, I don't know, did she announce when this podcast is coming out yet? Let me know. But if this woman does not address the elephant in the room on episode 1, I ain't tuning in. Because at this point, she has been talking about what happened when it came to Billy Miller and the story there, and her being let go and the things that she endured during her time. Yeah, the tea is piping, and if she don't release the little top thing and start talking about it on the podcast, I ain't gonna tune in. I'm not gonna, if she's not talking about it episode 1, then that means she is going to hold on to this for clout and drag it out till she decides to do the last episode of the show. So she should know damn well what the first topic on everyone's minds is. Because listen, y'all, I've said it, especially when the drama was happening, I was like, she talks an awful lot about talking about it, and then she never talks about it. So it's like, hey, we're waiting. She asked, what do people want her and her friend to talk about? I think she knows. And if she doesn't talk about it, then we know that she's just going to drag it out just so that people will tune in, hoping that she'll talk about it. And that just will leave a poor taste in my mouth. Y'all know I was a Sam fan for many years until they really started writing her horribly. But I just, at this point, it's almost laughable that she hasn't addressed it. At this point, she's not on GH anymore. She's had how many months to bring it up on social media? She hasn't. If she doesn't bring it up on her podcast, I will no longer care. I won't care. I don't want to hear her side. If she's going to use that to sort of, pull viewers in and then just not speak about it, then I don't care anymore. I'll certainly listen to the first episode. I'll kind of maybe not as it happens. I want to see if she addresses anything, and then if I see that she does address it, then I will quickly not read whatever recap I watched and just go right to the podcast and give it a listen for myself when it comes out. But yeah, it's been frustrating trying to take Kelly's side on things when she's not bothering actually speaking up about it. I think she only really revealed that she's doing a podcast earlier this week. I think I think within just towards the end of the week she kind of made a post about it. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know when it's coming out. She didn't announce a date from what it sounds like, just that it's coming soon, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, you're over it already? Yeah, me too. It's either address it or don't, but don't use knowing that fans want to know the story that you've been alluding to since Billy Miller got fired, as a way to promote your podcast, only to not mention it day one. That's how I feel on that. But I'm going to end this live stream here. If you guys can't tell, my voice is already getting hoarse again. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to rest my voice and I'm going to relax so that I have a voice in the morning for work. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a Wednesday live stream. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. If I don't do a live stream Wednesday, I will see you next Sunday. But I'll let you guys know by Tuesday if we'll do one for Wednesday. So, if you liked this live stream, thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this live stream, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good week. See you guys later. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Mwah. Good night.